Well, I didn't explain what I meant by as it were. So, in this instance, the term as it were might be in reference to something. If it was something like what I'm, so that's it's like something like. And in this situation, I'm referring to that which is eternal, that which is beyond time, and so I'm using the term as it were to put conditions, a perspective upon the eternal. Now, to say the eternal is something, well, how do we know? When we're rooted in time, we can't really say what the eternal is. So, in what I'm explaining here, this basically has to do with, what do I feel life is? How do I feel I came about? Carl Jung wrote somewhere that he asked his patients to write their own Bible. In a way, this is an excerpt from my Bible, though it's not nearly as organized as the Bible is. And I mentioned earlier about how there's a life pulse coming through us. Whatever we create, whatever we do, is a reflection of our interpretation, our experience of that life pulse pouring through us. And it can be quite overwhelming. I think that society tries to channel, society, family, and our times try to channel this life pulse in a certain way, and this is what is considered normal or acceptable, authorized. The authorized version of the eternal energies pouring forth through all of life, all time. And so what I'm writing is, in a way, a small excerpt of my interpretation or experience of the life pulse that informs all time and all life. And why I do this, it's the same reason why somebody runs 100 miles. Those incredible races that they have, or the triathlons that I was watching on television, or a hero fights a noble fight, or anyone does anything. But as you'll find, I'm really conceiving the eternal as encompassing both the dark and the light, and informing both, and not having any concerns that are rooted in time. Since it's eternal, it has no concerns for time. And I respect that we place upon the eternal our concerns that we have. And this goes to an idea that I have, that there is no justice in the world. We bring justice to the world through our judgments. So we pass judgment upon the world, and that is our justice. And I think this is innate to a part of the psyche. I don't think everybody needs justice. I think there are those exceptions to that rule, but I feel that those exceptions prove the rule. But the vast majority of us need to try to balance out the dualities, the rights and the wrongs. And so when somebody wrongs us, we want to punish them or get even. And then in this way, we justify our existence. And in justifying our existence, we bring justice to the world. We bring a type of meaning, a type of purpose. But this is like an endless loop kind of thing, you know. it's not like it really goes anywhere. It just produces more of the same struggles and strife and suffering of the world. And this goes back to, suffering and the crucifixion, where the sacred ritual points towards something beyond our concerns about our personal suffering or the sufferings of others. Even there's something even beyond that great compassion. I was explaining to a friend the other night that in my small studies that I've done, the monks, because they talk about the monks, we've been to the monks, the Tibetan monks have come to our local area, and we've had some interaction with them, and I try to explain to them, because I find that there's so much comparison that goes on with a lot of people. They always want to measure each other up, and they're trying to find if they're good people or right people or on the right path or the wrong path. And I'm like, wait a second. You got to realize, as far as our other studies have gone, the Eastern perspective and philosophy is one that's different from the Western perspective of philosophy. But to interpret it in a Western form, I explained to them, I said, we might say that these monks have done all the psychological tests and challenges to drain out of them their sense of self, which all selfishness is rooted in. All selfishness is rooted in self. And so they try to go past and beyond their sense or identity of self to that void. And by going there and coming back, they decide they're still alive, even though they're an individual that has somehow drained the ego and their sense of self completely. They come back and they say, well, the only thing worthy of our human experience is loving kindness and compassion, to lessen the sufferings of others. And it was very important that I shared with that, can we drain ourselves? Do any of us here know what it means as Western men to have no concerns for ourselves whatsoever? What we eat. Because, this ascetic life, they talk about, I think in one of the talks the monks told us that they just have butter, tea, and rice. And that's it. They don't have all these elaborate meals, and they're trying to go past all the fears and the desires. And they don't want to titillate their own fancy by getting all caught up in these elaborate meals and these elaborate dress and the elaborate things of this world. They want to go past all that. And it can be very difficult to go past all that if you're all caught up in it. Whereas here in the West, this constant striving for more and abundance and variety is contrary, quite the opposite. So enough of that. In the next one, I'll just read what I wrote.